sometimes we're really trying to find out what exactly is the issue between Governor Siminalayi Fubara and his predecessor, former Governor Nyesom Wike, who is now the FCT minister. But the way politics plays out, eventually we'll get to know what the true picture are, but there's a lot of speculations and all of that. Now, for those of you who are not following the politics of Rivers State, it started with undercurrent and evolved into several reactions and twists and turns. The latest being that about 9 commissioners within Governor Fubara's cabinet have resigned. And a few days ago, we saw that the Labour Party candidate paid a solidarity visit to him, and she made some statement. But she's going to be joining us to have that conversation as to what transpired between her and the River State governor. I'm being joined on the program by the Labour Party governorship candidate in River State, Mrs. Beatrice Itubo. Mrs. Itubo, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Good evening today. How are you?
I'm very well. And how are you, madam?
I'm cool, by the grace of God.
All right. Let's see how cool the things are. But let's begin with what informed your decision to reach out to Governor Fubara in the first place, given what was going on in the state? Why did you just choose to say, okay, rather than reaching out to the FCT minister, let me go and see Governor Fubara? What exactly informed that decision?
Everything has an expiry date. There's time for everything. The FCT minister, like you said, didn't contest the election with me. The person who contested the election with me is the current governor of Rivers State, Sasim Fubara. So when we went to the courts, from the tribunal to the appeal, and the decisions was against our petition, we decided to go to Supreme Court. But because of the current issues in Rivers State, the volatile nature, everywhere is tensed up, we felt that we should not be part of those that will be fanning the embers of war. And so as such, we agreed. Having been called by numerous Rivers, many Rivers people, and also by our supporters, that we should look for a way so that we can be able to work together with the government of the day. And so based on that, they have already been reaching out to us before now, but we were the ones who were really foot dragging. So this time around, we felt, okay, let's give peace a chance. And so as such, I met with the governor, and when he spoke to me, I said, okay, I'm willing to withdraw the matter from the Supreme Court, because already we had filed, and so we now withdrew the matter. And because actually, my manifestos were really workers-based, because the previous administration didn't treat workers well, and that was the reason why in the first place I came out to contest, being the immediate past chairman of the Nigerian Labour Congress here in the state. Workers are not promoted for the 8 years. Pensioners are not paid their gratuities and pensions, arrears, and all that. And so we felt no employment whatsoever in the state. And so that was even what made me and the governors at that time, we had daggers drawn. Remember, I was the only person who opposed his campaign or his contest to become the president of this country. I went on there to say I will not support him, based on the way he's treating workers, that he will go to the federal level and kill all the workers in Rivers State, in Nigeria, sorry. And so based on that, that was where we had the issues. But now this person who came in, Sasim Fubara, he had the same background with me, starting from the same, where the things he has started implemented. As we speak now, he has started paying gratuities instrumentally. He has also promoted workers. Employment is ongoing. And so when you look at it, it's not just fight. Like I said, I'm going to be a healthy opposition. When you do the right one, I will applaud. When you do the one that is not right, I will also criticize, but constructively, showing you the way it ought to be. And so that's exactly where we are. So we decided to reach out to him because he's the governor. And then his policies are becoming people's friendly. That's exactly why I came on board, so that I can be able to implement policies that will be people's friendly and then engender good governance in the state.
So just for the record, I wanted to find out from you. I know you said it, but I want you to put it out there on the record. Your decision to drop your petition against the election of Governor Fubara is not a unilateral decision. It's based on consultation with your party members. Will I be correct to say that?
Yes, very correct. We don't take decisions. We reach out to people. That's why we are democrats. It's a democratic process. So you reach out to people, because without people, you cannot be there. So you must consult before you take whatever decisions that you're going to take.
So just one on this. Does dropping this petition mean that you believe you won the election after all?
I wouldn't say that. If I believe in one, I wouldn't have.
Mr. Itubo, can you hear me?
In the first place. But we are saying we must give peace a chance. By to stop fighting. Because of the volatile, the tense nature of
Mrs. Beatrice, if you can hear me, because we're having network connection issues. So I just want to be sure it's quite clear for our audience to hear you as much as possible. So can you hear me clearly? Let me be sure I can hear you clearly. Can you hear me, Mrs. Itubo?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Fantastic.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Now, I know you're a politician, and I was listening to the former governor, the FCT minister. He always makes that statement. He said, I'm not a traditional ruler. I'm not a clergy. I'm a politician. And that has a lot of meaning. So running for the office of governor of a state like Rivers State under the Labour Party in the last election makes you a politician. So I'm wondering, when you first visited and then the second visit, maybe other visit that we're not aware of, before you now eventually came out to say, we've dropped our petition to support and just to quell things. What exactly is in it for you?
Well, like I said earlier, there is nothing more to it than the peace that we desire. I'm a peace-loving person. And because I'm a peace-loving person, I decided that instead of me to be there, and because I sued for peace yesterday, and they were not asking me, you are suing for peace and yet you are in court. How do you reconcile these two? And I said, there is no price that is too big for me to pay so that there can be peace in Rivers State. And therefore, I am hereby withdrawing the petition at the Supreme Court. With consultations from my members and all of us, we have met together and we agreed that we should withdraw that petition so that we can have peace and also move on. We cannot continue to fight on ending.
All right. I just needed to be clear because, you politicians, sometimes what you say, we need to look at it critically to really examine what it means before you blame us for misinterpretation. I wanted to be sure whether there were promises of maybe a position or something. I want to be sure that this is all about peace, since you said that. But I want to find out from you, for the most part, nobody can really say, because... Can you hear me, madam?
I can hear you.
All right. For the most part, nobody can really say exactly what is the problem between these two gentlemen, the governor and his predecessor. What we're hearing are just things around what people are thinking. So I'm wondering, having met the governor, he would have told you, this is what I'm going through. This is why you are seeing what you're seeing. Maybe what is happening in the media may not be entirely correct. This is exactly the picture. Do you have that information? Are you at liberty to share maybe a bit, if you don't want to give us the exclusive, maybe a bit of what exactly is the problem between the governor and his predecessor?
Well, I didn't want to delve into their political issues because, to start with, I am not in their PDP. And I am not a conventional politician. I was in the civil service, and because of the way the civil servants were treated, we decided that I should go in and contest for this election. So when I went there, what we were really discussing was basically about peace, how peace can be restored in the state, how we should come and work together so that the state can move forward. And then on the issue of the governor and his predecessor, it's a father and son affair. And so I don't think that there was something that was being willing to say much about it, just that father and son can always have disagreement, but they will one day agree. So I'm praying that agreement should come one day. And so they can begin to work together on the same page again. So I didn't go into what caused it because he wasn't not also willing maybe to divorce. So I didn't pray into that.
Let me ask you, because we're all concerned, every Nigerian is concerned, given the importance of River State to Nigeria at large. And we've seen this metamorphose into different twists from, the division of the House initially, then we had two speakers, then it snowballed into them defecting to the APC, and then there was a court order, and a new speaker or the here-led faction sat, and the governor presented a budget to them. The budget was approved. The House was demolished. The other speakers sat at some other place and said, look, we have amended the laws of the local government area so the governor cannot tamper with the local government. And it's been, then we had this series of resignation of governors. And then I noticed, and I did say this, I think yesterday, that when the governor flagged up the 20,000 housing units is about to build in River State, I noticed that the chairman of Ikwere local government, Nwanosike, was obviously absent, and he sent his deputy. And we're wondering, are you talking to the governor and all these people to say, how can we manage this so that it ends where it is right now? It doesn't get into local government affairs and doesn't escalate into full-blown violence. Because, for those of us who are familiar with River State, we have to be very careful. What are you advising the governor?
Well, I am advising and suing for peace, and I've seen that the governor has a very peaceful disposition. The truth is that if he went there to flag off the 20,000 housing units and the chairman of Ikwere local government was not there, so long as his deputy was there, it means that he was there. He maybe delegated the responsibilities to his deputy. And so I am saying that everybody should come on board so that we can work to make River State peaceful. Are we not even tired of this? Problems here and there. Every day, River State will be on the headlines. I heard from your channels this evening that people is in Kogi or wherever are demonstrating and saying that the House of Assembly was demolished in River State and all that. Well, this is a reverse affair. And so I believe that people should allow River State people to sort their issues out. I'm still using this medium to call on the FCT minister to come back to his godson so that they can be able to mend their fences and move the state forward. Because we cannot continue like this. Are we under a spell that each time we have a minister, then they must disagree with the state? And that is drawing the state backward because it's not even bringing development. You can see that if this continue, if it is allowed to continue, the River State may not enjoy the dividends of democracy. No, we will not gain anything from the federal government. And so we are saying no, they should come together so that we can. I'm happy that the governor himself is suing for peace. Like the day I went to him, he was still talking about peace, peace, peace. And so far, I've not had any utterance from him that has made it look as if maybe there is pretense or there's something on that too. So I still believe that he's suing for peace. And so they should come together and see how we can agree. And also, well-meaning citizens of River State, the elders, they should be able to come out and see how they can call these people and bring them together. It's not all about answering elders. It's about when there's a problem, we look at it, confront the problem frontally. Call a spade. Don't call black white. And then at the end of the day, we can be able to have true peace. Because sometimes what brings about this unity is when you see the right thing and you begin to say the wrong thing. Then the other will be dissatisfied, and then they will begin to fan the embers of it. Believe me, the whole thing, River State will be the ultimate loser, and we don't want that.
All right, Mrs. Beatrice Itubo, Labour Party governorship candidate in River State. So just hold on for a moment, madam. I understand that the Commissioner for Information in River State has joined us on the program, Mr. Joe Johnson. Mr. Johnson, thank you for joining us on the program.
Good evening, and thank you for my sister in the studio.
Well, it's been quite of a work getting you to come talk to us. So, but let's get straight to it now that we have you. My first natural question, given the series of resignation, I was on this show the very next day. That's after Professor Zacchaeus Adango resigned, who was the first. The very next day, I was on this show. Before I left the show, I think I had about 3 more people resign, and as at the last count, 9 have left a cabinet of about 18, if I stand to be corrected. That means almost literally half of the cabinet have left the government. So question number 1, are we expecting more people to leave the cabinet? Mr. Johnson?
I'm hearing you.
Mr. Johnson, did you get my question?
Say it again.
Okay, I want to rephrase. I said, given the series of resignation, it looks like every other day, somebody's leaving the government. Are we expecting more people to leave? Do you have that information?
Well, I don't have that clairvoyance to be able to read the minds of people, but as at the last count, actually 8 commissioners left, and then one of the SAs, and then the man in charge of Bureau of Public Enterprise. So there are not 10 commissioners as it were.
Okay, I didn't say 10. I think I said 9. So thank God you're here to put the facts right. We saw their letters. Most of their letters, they were saying they resigned. Some of them were saying based on principle and all of that. But some people are wondering if it is just based on principle and they are just tired of the feud going on, or they were asked to excuse themselves, given the fact that some people believe, or certain individuals believe, that they have, leaning towards the predecessor of the governor. So what exactly is going on here?
Well, they banded several reasons. Some said on personal grounds, some said whatever was the reason. I like to just say that the bottom line is that the governor, His Excellency, Sir Siminala Ifubara, did not force, compel, or ask anyone to leave. Those who left on their own volition and according to their reasons.
I was speaking to, as I was talking to Mrs. Itubo, and I'm going to ask you a similar question. Given the sequence of events, and I actually referenced the fact that the Ikwere chairman was absent at the flag-off of a major project in the state, where he's always been around when Governor Nyesom Wike was governor, and is is believed to be a big supporter of the governor. So I'm wondering, and I'm asking you now, is there anything the governor is doing to make sure that what happened in the House of Assembly doesn't snowball into what's going on in the local government areas?
No, but she had answered correctly, my dear sister.
No, you are the commissioner for information. You are the commissioner for information. I'm asking the government now.
She placed it appropriately. She said, if a chairman is not around for a program and the deputy goes, it means that that local government is well represented.
So that's your answer. Nothing is going to happen with the local government. The reason...
The Ikwere local government chairman could not come, but his deputy was there and was very active. She spoke and received the governor. How else would anybody think? Assuming the governor of Rivers State is not around and his deputy, Professor Ngozi Odu, represents him, the state is well represented.
I'm asking that question, and I want you to answer carefully as well, is the fact that despite the fact that the 4 members or the leadership of the House led by Edison Ehie, I understand, had declared the seat of the 26th vacant based on their decision to go to the APC, they actually did sit and amended the local government laws so that they take away the power from the governor to be able to dissolve local government cabinet to set up caretaker committee, because politically, for those of you who are politicians, that's another way to put structure for any leader at the end of the day. Is the governor bothered about that move by those lawmakers?
Those lawmakers, are they still lawmakers in your opinion? If you have a constitutional role and the form given to every parliamentarian who wants to run an election states that if you defect from your own party, aside from the constitution which says in section 109(1)G that if you defect from your party to another party that you lose your seat, are they truly lawmakers to talk about financial autonomy for local government and even for the House, forgetting that just less than a year ago or 2, when the issue was in the top burners, they didn't okay it. Today, as former lawmakers, they are the people advocating for it. So you can't place what is not there on a thing that truly exists.
Mr. Johnson, one of the good things about having someone in... Can you hear me, sir?
I'm hearing you.
Now, one of the good things about having someone in government speak directly is to clear doubts, and which is why we brought you on the show today. And for people who believe, because if you had watched from the beginning, some young people in, I think, Adamawa State are protesting. They say, look, the demolition of the State Assembly complex is just aimed at getting at the FCT minister and the lawmakers who defected. For people who are in doubt that there's really a genuine technical reason, as you put in your statement, when that happened, that the place is no longer habitable, and based on consultant advice, the building had to be brought down. For those who are still in doubt that this is all political, how do you prove to them that this is not all political? Are you willing to share maybe a document of the experts showing that this building is non-habitable after the incident that happened in August, just to clear the doubt of the people who are doubting that this is not political?
Even the court that granted the Disney ex parte order clearly stated that that place truly was uninhabitable. I don't know how else, if a court of competent jurisdiction had already ruled that the place was not habitable, I don't see how anybody can doubt it. And His Excellency Governor Siminalayi Fubara, in his wisdom, so that tomorrow the story will not be, oh, you saw, the court even directed that place, that's order one on that ex parte motion. And that motion is subsisting. So to even assume that anybody could allow anybody go there to do any business would be the greatest injustice to humanity.
Mr. Johnson, nobody's arguing with what the court said. I asked a simple question. I'm sure that before the court granted that leave to say, this place is not habitable, the court deals with evidence, because justice is according to the rule of law, or according to evidence presented, you know. So I'm just asking, do you have documents maybe that you presented to the court to say, look, for this reason, these people can't stay here, and we need to provide alternative arrangement? You want to share with the media so that everybody who is doubting you can see the document? That's all I'm asking.
The court is a court of, we practice law of evidence in law. If you allege, you prove. And to prove means you must show substantially enough evidence. So if a court says, this is this, it would have meant that the court would have seen verifiable and cogent reasons for it. So to even ask me would be overreaching me. The court has said that the place is not habitable, and it would have meant that they may have shown cause for the court to be convinced. So the facts are there. When we say a structural engineering firm confirmed that the place had lost integrity, it meant that the place truly had lost integrity. Even His Excellency, the former governor, acknowledged the fact that the place was uninhabitable. He acknowledged that fact.
Well, I don't want to push further, because all I asked, I think I asked a very simple question. I'm going to say it and then go to my next question. All I was saying is, whatever you presented to the court to say, this place is not habitable, can I have it so I can show to my audience and say, this is what he presented, or the government presented in court. So all of this about politics and not, this can rule it out. That's all. But anyway, let's move on now to other questions that I want to ask you. Now, it's clear that with what we're seeing and tracking and monitoring, this may be snowballing into some kind of ethnic coloration, which is why the FCT minister was quick to say, this has no ethnic coloration. What is Governor Fubara doing as the governor of Rivers State, both for upland and riverine area where it comes from, to unite the state so this doesn't boomerang or just get escalated further than this?
Well, if you had listened to Governor Fubara in all his outings, you would agree that he had always maintained the posture of a pacifist, somebody who wants peace on all fronts. He wants everybody to be together in oneness for a greater River State. And I'm sure that the world and Rivers people are standing by it. And I'm believing God that in no distant time, we'll be able to actualize that dream.
Before I go back to Mrs. Itubo and begin to round up this conversation, so we can go to other things, I'm also concerned, and I'm sure every onlooker is concerned that given what is going on in Rivers State, I don't know whether you have that answer. To the best of my knowledge, correct me if I'm wrong, Governor Siminalayi Fubara is it vice chairman now or deputy chairman of the PDP Governors Forum? And since all of this happened, we haven't had maybe a solidarity visit to him like politicians do, or a statement in solidarity from any quarters, either from his South-South region or from any part of the country. Why do you think that is?
No, but you would have heard that the National Publicity Secretary of PDP had wrote recently that the 27 lawmakers who drifted, that they had all their seats had been declared vacant and they were going to court. Does that not show solidarity from PDP? Most governors
Mr.
and
Johnson,
all the party leaders.
Mr. Johnson, I'm very clear with my question. I did not say, sorry, Mr. Johnson, my apologies for cutting in. I'm very clear. I interviewed Mr. Debo, who is the PDP National Working Committee Publicity Secretary. So I'm clear on what he said and what the statements were. I am saying, brother governors of the PDP, not National Working Committee.
It's not a war. It's not anything as it were for governors and all the other arms. But the party structure in the state still stands by the governor. So how else do you want it? It has not escalated to the level where you would expect that the whole world would throng to Rivers State to come and solidarize with the governor. The governor is still able to handle the situation.
All right, let me get to Ms. Itubo. Ms. Itubo, my apologies for keeping you waiting. Are you still there, madam?
Yeah.
Hello, madam, can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly.
All right, maybe just quick questions for the both of you so we can start wrapping up. Where do we go from here? Some people have said, let's involve the president again so that this stops where it is. I keep using that word, this stop where it is, because things can escalate. Nobody knows, and God forbid. So do you share the view of the people who want this, the presidency to get involved yet again to say, let's shoot our sword, whatever the issues are, let's reconcile politically and sort this out? Do you share that view?
Yes, actually, I believe that the president had waited into this issue before, because I know that the president called them and said they should go home and settle like father and their son. And for them to come back, though, like I said earlier, I've not heard any, and even his broadcast and every other. But then you can see.
All right. Ms. Itubo, sorry,
that,
I don't
the
know.
FCT minister, I still feel that if the president really wants peace in Rivers State, he can still call.
Okay. Thank you so much, madam.
Give them a matching order. Good.
All right, let me get to Mr. Johnson. Quickly, your closing thoughts on this issue, Mr. Johnson.
Well, just to say that His Excellency Sir Siminalayi Fubara is a man of peace, not very loud, but very strong. He's not somebody who is a rabble-rouser and not given to too much of words. He's not a man of perfidy, but he's somebody that can stand and firmly say and situate situations the way they are. So I want to believe that Rivers people and everybody who wants to do business should come. We have a safe haven. There's no reason to doubt as to whether our businesses will thrive. What we did yesterday or 2 days ago in the Kwere local government is just a precursor to the things that are yet to come.
Mr. Johnson, I thank you so much for coming on the program. Mr. Johnson, Joe Johnson, I should say, is the Commissioner for Information in Rivers State. Let me just say, we don't expect you to resign, Mr. Johnson, on a lighter note, right?
Well, resign. I'm a citizen of this state. Who will I resign to? I have an assignment and I need to confirm to my people that I'm truly out to serve them.
Mr. Johnson, thank you so much. Commissioner for Information in Rivers State. Also, Mrs. Beatrice Itubo, the Labour Party governorship candidate in Rivers State, who has decided to drop a petition against the governor at the Supreme Court. Thank you both for coming on the program, lady and gentlemen.
Thank you for that giant stride, that giant step she took to make sure that she truly partakes in the reconciliation process.
Thank you.
All
right. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Arthur. Thank you.